The squat is one of the best overall exercises that you can incorporate into your program. However, there are a couple things to consider. First being, are you going to do a front squat or a back squat? And basically, are you going to hold the bar across your back, which would be a back squat? That's the more traditional, better known method, holding on your back and squatting. Or are you going to perform a front squat, basically where you're holding it, balancing on your shoulders and executing it that way? I prefer doing a front squat for a couple reasons. Primarily safety. When you do a back squat, if you bend over too far, well, the bar is going to stay on your back. So you can bend over too far and have to use your lower back to come up. So the risk of injury is a lot higher. When you do a front squat, if you bend over too much, you're not going to be able to hold the bar. So it kind of has a little bit of a built-in safety factor. And two, you're not putting direct compression on the spine. And so I actually prefer it because you're having to stabilize the load in front of you and use that posterior chain to help stabilize that load, which is way more specific to what most of us do in real life. You're not necessarily putting a lot of things on your back and squatting, but you are having to hold things in front of you and squat. So it's a little more specific to everyday function and stuff like that. So a couple reasons for doing the front squat instead of the back squat. And, of course, if you're a competitive power lifter or you've got a highly trained coach who's taken the time to really teach you proper execution of the back squat, it is a great exercise. But for most people, it's easier to learn the front squat, and there are some functional differences between it that may be an advantage versus the back squat. So anyways, but you want to be able to execute a front squat properly, and there are some things that people do wrong when they're trying to do a front squat. So what I'm going to show you is how I warm up and how I have all my clients warm up to execute front squats and go over what we're thinking about, how we're preparing for this lift in order to make sure that we execute a good, strong lift. And so anyways, first thing that you want to do is always do just a couple body weight squats. You can see I got a box here. We like to set up something about 12 inches off the ground. That gives you a good idea of your squat depth, and so you want to squat down until your butt touches that. That's a good functional range of motion for most people. So make sure you got your feet set shoulder width apart, arms out in front of you, abs are engaged. You're going to squat down, lightly touch the box, and come back up. What you're looking for, you want to make sure that your knees are staying out over your feet. Don't let them cave in. And you want to make sure that you're keeping your weight back on your heels and you're keeping your back straight. So you don't want to do this where you come up on your toes, and you don't want to let your back round. So we're just kind of greasing the neural groove, as it's called, just practicing a couple body weight squats. As I come up, I'm pushing through the heels and squeezing my glutes together to make sure I'm using my hips, not my lower back. Do a few reps, 3 to 5. Again, you're just getting a feel for the motion. So now we're going to go to the bar. And what most people do wrong when doing front squats is they try to hold the bar with their hands. We prefer the clean, this is known as the clean grip method. This is known as the bodybuilding grip method. We prefer this. It's a little bit better for a couple reasons. Mainly, you've got to use your upper back more in order to stabilize the load. So again, it's more specific to everyday life and sport function versus holding it like this, where you're able to use more of the chest and shoulders and kind of not have to use the upper back as much. So in order to get that upper back training effect too, we prefer the clean grip method. And what most people end up doing wrong though is that they hold the bar with their hands. You want to bounce it on your shoulders. So what I'm going to show you is a simple drill to teach you how to do that. You're going to step up underneath the bar, and you're not going to get it with your hands. You're going to balance it on your shoulders. And so right now it's balanced on my shoulders. I can feel it against my neck a little bit, but it's not choking me out. So I'm just balancing it between my shoulders, a little bit with my neck. And then you're going to execute a couple reps with the bar balanced like that. And again, thinking about the same things, keeping the back straight, weight back on the heels, knees apart. Do a couple reps like that, walk it in. And again, because you want to sit back into a squat, you are going to have some forward trunk lean. So you need to compensate for that by bringing the hands up a little bit. So if you squat and you just leave your hands neutral, it's not going to work. It's going to roll off. So you're going to have to bring them up a little bit. But once you get the feel for balancing it on your shoulders, now you can incorporate your hands into it. But again, I'm balancing it on my shoulders. My hands are just providing a little extra balance, but they're not supporting it. And so again, you execute a couple reps. Again, trying to keep those elbows up as you come down. If you don't keep those elbows up, you're going to end up holding it with the hands. So see how the weight is now shifted on. I'm holding it with my fingers. You want to have it back. Like I should be able to take my hands away from the bar and have it balanced on my shoulders. So once you can execute that, then you're ready to start adding load. And again, just making sure that you're keeping that back straight, knee spread, and you're holding the bar on your shoulders instead of with your hands. Some of you may find that you don't have enough mobility in your wrist to hold the bar like this. And so in that case, what you can do is take a pair of lifting straps, things that you put around your wrist, and then wrap around a bar to try and hold more weight, which I never recommend for that purpose. But you can take a pair and fix them to the bar, wrap them around the bar, and instead of getting your wrist in that position, you can hold on to the straps. And so you'd have the straps on the bar, you'd be holding the strap that's coming, the end that's coming off, and balancing on your shoulder. So that's how you can get going if you don't necessarily have the wrist flexibility right off the bat to do that. So anyways though, so that's how I always prepare, get myself ready to execute front squats, how I have my clients prepare. You may find that that's a good workout for you at first. You may need to work on some of those techniques as far as keeping your lower back straight, keeping your knees spread apart, keeping your weight back on your heels, getting down to a proper squat depth, and being able to balance it on your shoulders. Until you can accomplish those basic components of the front squat, you don't need to worry about adding a whole lot of load. But once you get those down, you start adding load and you start getting strong in the front squat with those rules in mind, then it's one of the best exercises you can do. So anyways, so once again, it's been James Wilson with Elite Training, and that's how we execute a front squat.